it does have a few areas that could be improved. Memory management appears to be a key area for the engine and team to improve on, some areas within that performance level. With a mix of procedural and tailored creation, assets and objects streaming in, such as when you land on planets being the most obvious but short-lived, causing 300 milliseconds at worst pauses as the data is loaded in ready to use. These are brief, and once loaded into RAM, normal service resumes. These also crop up during combat or exploration of bigger cities, causing brief stutter from time to time that can see the FPS into the mid-20s at worst. Again, all short-lived and point to some areas of streaming which are likely on a patch list for the team. Staying with performance of a different kind though is my first negative with the game, and one I had hoped would have been resolved or at the very least significantly mitigated with the fast SSDs and memory increase in these consoles. Loading in this game is an issue you simply cannot ignore. If this generation has added little else, loading has been a drastic improvement across the board, and sadly it is here that the old engine base underneath, as improved as its Creation Engine 2 is, start to peek through, and it's likely the biggest anchor on the team's greater ambitions. Walking from an exterior to an interior, loaded screen. Walk into your ship's cockpit, load. Go on a train, load. Lifts, shops, even travelling across planets on foot limit you within a bounding box from your ship. The engine limits actually hinder the game's scope and your immersion within it. Compounding this is the time some take to load. Series X here going into a shop can take 3 seconds as it fades to black and back out again. Leaving your ship just over 2 seconds on Series S and Series X, and anything bigger such as entering a large building or docking onto a ship can be 5 to 8 seconds, and fast travel is anything but, with some taking 12 seconds or more. Even sections that should be in real time in gameplay, such as docking or undocking, show an unskippable sequence that takes around 7 seconds. The issue here is these all start to add up, and the time it takes and how much it breaks up your enjoyment and flow of the game, with the clear split of boxed off areas of a planet, buildings or ship being hard to ignore as these soft boundaries keep bumping into you. With the limit being that even on a planet's surface you can only go so far and you hit an invisible wall, necessitating a return to your ship pop-up or pick a new spot closer to the equidistance of what you wanted to actually look at. And Starfield does the same here, with a data-driven engine driving AI, object destruction, combat, dialogue, with heavy use of state models for many of these. Physics are key and work as well here as before, mostly anyway, but really are no better and have not seen the same improvements, to the same degree at least, as the visuals, and in some ways can actually be worse. You still get crazy physics of bodies bouncing, high friction on contact, deflated balloon-like deaths, and even sticking to railings or just bouncing off into orbit. AI is still pretty terrible, with enemies just strolling around without a care in the world as you shoot them in the head, or even just standing in fridges alone staring at walls. It can get lonely in space, I suppose. Companion AI can be the most egregious though, with it often freezing during combat, being stuck in poses, and most annoyingly walking in front of you mid-battle getting shot, and sometimes never entering combat. Now I know Sarah is a tough cookie, but in the middle of a firefight this is not the time to shoot the breeze and ask about my day.
Find any sign of Vanguard Moara. Keep your eyes open.
A few minutes later.
My parents considered themselves to be enlightened. But their lives were so busy, they rarely
You picked the wrong fight.